Welcome to Prince Ordered House. Exercise number 15 and 16, 140 words a minute. Already uploaded 80 words a minute and 100 words a minute. Be ready? Start. I am here to welcome you all to this conference, which is the first of its kind. We have here many representatives from a large number of Asian countries, eminent demographers, and experts from various other countries. The subjects you are going to tackle are of high importance to all of us, indeed to the world at large, but more particularly to Asia. We are looking forward to this conference and the advice that all of you may give so that we can tackle these problems effectively. Our country has gone in for planning for economic and social growth, but it is obvious that planning depends on whom you plan for, how many people you plan for. Unless we have a fair idea of the population of a country as it is going to be, it is difficult to plan. Population growth becomes highly important not only for planning but for the social well-being of the country. We in India have been trying to tackle this problem as best as we could. I confess that we have not succeeded remarkably, and the growth of population in this big country is rather alarming. It is not merely a question of providing food for a growing population, although that is primary consideration, but generally it is a question of providing the means for a good life, a healthy life for all the people who live in the country. We have thus to face a kind of race between the rate of economic growth and the rate at which population grows. Obviously, unless there is marked difference between the two, there won't be much economic growth. As population grows, it rather overwhelms the efforts we make towards economic growth. However much we may try, we do try to increase the pace of economic growth, the fact of population growing even at a reduced pace comes in the way of any marked improvement. I would like to congratulate the ECAFE and the association organizations who have convened this conference. The ECAFE has recently had a very successful conference here, I think, to discuss economic and trade matters. This brought together representatives of various countries in Asia and made them view the problems of this region in an integrated way. I believe very good work has been done and I congratulate the authorities. Although we are primarily concerned with food production, there are many other things which affect us as population growth goes on. Immediately, there is the question of schools, health measure, and housing facilities, which have all to be increased very rapidly in order to come anywhere near the level we want. Therefore, apart from its political and economic aspects, it becomes a social problem of great magnitude. It is fairly well known that countries which are underdeveloped and which are relatively poor appear to have more rapid population growth. I believe there is a tendency among the affluent countries also to increase their population. This policy may not affect them very much at present, but ultimately it is also bound to affect them in other ways. Anyhow, this is a problem of world importance because it will create all kinds of social conflicts and ultimately political conflicts and the like. Obviously, this cannot be left to take its own course because that course would bring tremendous difficulties in its trail. We have to tackle it with some foresight and with some efforts at planning. In the main, the countries of Asia are most affected by this, and I suppose that all of them have their experiences and their suggestion to make. I imagine that Japan has succeeded most in dealing with this problem. We will be glad to have the advice of Japanese experts who have come here on how we should deal with our problem, and other countries will also profit by it. Possibly this conference is the first effort on behalf on the Associated Organizations of the United Nations on behalf of the ECAFE to deal with the social problems in this way. They have been dealing with economic problems and they brought to bear on them the combined experience and wisdom of the countries associated with them. Now, the importance of social problem is being felt more and more. A new advance in this direction is being made by ECAFE. I think this is to be welcomed, but economic and social problems are so intimately connected that you cannot separate them. Therefore, I welcome particularly this conference, which will deal mainly with population growth and also other problems connected with it. After all, we are aiming at the social advancement of our people, and unless we advance as a whole, mere economic growth, which might be unbalanced, may not lead to the result we aim at. I trust, therefore, that this aspect of the problem should also be considered. Next para. I am grateful to you for inviting me here today, though I rather doubt if I can help you very much in your deliberations. All I can do is to encourage you and to express the goodwill and the earnest desire of the government to see that science flourishes in India and scientists have every opportunity to do good mark. My friend has surveyed the field of our work here fairly comprehensively, what has been done, what is being done, and to some extent what he hopes will be done. Largely, I agree with what he has said. A little more than 5 years ago, we passed the scientific policy resolution. I was reading it today and I felt that it was a good resolution. If we had to sit down to draft it today, probably it would not be very difficult from what we did then. The question that arises now is how far we have lived up to it. We have perhaps not implemented it as fully as many of us had hoped. I think there is a general appreciation in India of the importance of science and technology. Its importance is no doubt growing in our universities and special institutes. More and more students are taking to the study of technical and scientific subjects. Yet I do not suppose it will be true to say that the background of general thinking in India is governed the educational process and the industrial and technological changes that are coming about in the country. As a matter of fact, the two are closely allied. There is one criticism that is often made about the social resources that are made available for scientific work. Although we are now spending more on scientific work than previously, it is, I suppose, true to say that we are rather slow moving in that direction, and some of our scientific work has suffered because of lack of money. Some months back, a committee was appointed, I think, with Dr. Bhabha as chairman to look into this matter and to recommend what more could be done to help scientific research and also where it is possible to economize. The object of that committee was really to encourage useful and profitable expenditure for scientific research. We did not want merely to say that so many crores of rupees would go into scientific research, but rather to have it examined how it should be done. That committee, so far as I know, has not yet produced any report of recommendations, but I wish to assure you that in spite of our very considerable difficulties at the present moment because of the emergency and for other reasons, government will not hesitate to supply more funds for scientific research provided some kind of a reasoned approach is made. It is not enough merely to say give more funds, but if it is explained where more funds are required, I am sure, and I have in fact been told by our finance minister that he will certainly meet such demands wherever necessary. Ultimately, it is the educational apparatus behind all this that counts, especially universities and specialized technical institutions. I hope they are growing both in quantity as well as in quality. And behind that, again, the general level of mass education is also improving. During these days of emergency, when very considerable defense burdens were cast upon us, we decided, in spite of those burdens, that we must not slacken in our efforts at development, because such a development was itself basic to strengthening the country. Any attempt to cut down on that would ultimately weaken the country. In that scheme of development, I attach the greatest importance to education. Some people seem to think that, useful as it is, education is not so important as putting up a factory. I might sacrifice any number of factories, but I will not sacrifice human beings and their education, because it is the human being who sets up the factories and produces the things we want. Factory by itself is very useful and desirable, but unless it makes that impact on the human being, it will not be useful. After all, what is our purpose in life? There are certainly many purposes: raising the level of living and all that. I would put producing good trained human beings as the main purpose. It is the trained human being that produces the rest. If you do not have trained human beings, then you get a lopsided growth and you do not make such progress as you should. It is not merely technology you impart to the human being, but also other kinds of training which enable him think and lead what might be called as a good life. Science is most important, but it is not complete by itself unless you use the term science in a sense than mere technology. Stop.